Hi, this is Karen Cubico, and today we're going to talk about how should you prepare for a past life regression. So congratulations, you realize that you are more than just this human life and you're interested in doing some super deep healing to get way deep, to go even before this current lifetime to do some serious healing. Now, most of the time, when you remember a past life, you're bringing up whatever's in that past life in order for you to heal something in your current life. So keeping that in mind. But there are some things that you should think about to help you to really connect in with one of your past lives. Practice relaxing, even if it's through meditation. If you're able to just allow yourself to completely relax, then you're on the right track to begin with, to having a good experience. You need to find somebody that you can trust, that you can work with, that will help you through and guide you through that whole experience. Because honestly, every person that I've ever helped remember a past life, it's different for every single person. No person is the same. So finding someone that you trust and can work with is again a really important avenue for that. So I really recommend that you bring a list of questions, especially if you're going to be seeing someone in person to do a one-on-one session with someone who's trained in doing past life regression work. Because if you get that unique opportunity to talk to one of your spirit guides or an angel, you might not have the wherewithal, if you're in a relaxed meditative state, to remember the questions that you wanted to ask them at that moment, because it's so blissful and awe-inspiring. You just get caught up in that moment and the feeling of that connection that you forget about, oh shoot, I had 10 questions I wanted to ask. So when you're working with somebody, bring that list of questions. It doesn't have to be 10, just a couple, something to give you some good interaction. But that list of questions can also be your intent. Intent is key to helping you be guided, if you will, to the place that you need to go that will help you the most. So say, for example, if you have a fear of water or something like that, mention that, because that's your intent then. Or you can set the intent, wow, I really would like to focus on my fear of water so I can figure out what that's about. I don't know if it has anything to do with anything in this current lifetime, so I'm suspecting a past life. So you've gone to have a past life regression done, or maybe you listen to a meditation, however you're choosing to get there. Having that intent is so important. If you don't have an intent and you go to see a past life regression therapist or you listen to a guided meditation, you have a good chance of going to the healing space. Because if you're going to see someone or you're listening to a guided past life regression meditation, the intent always is about the healing. I mean, it's kind of fun too. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's always about the healing. And on some level, you're being helped in some kind of way. So if you don't have an intent, sometimes people go to this place that's a healing space and you see all these morphing colors everywhere. And then you're like, wow, I'm really not getting anything. I'm seeing all these pretty colors and all that kind of thing. Normal, you didn't set the intent. If your intent is to figure out a relationship, say it. If your intent is to understand why you have a block on intuition or a block on abundance of any kind or a block on a love relationship or any of that kind of stuff, that's your intent. Set it. Don't be afraid about it. Just do it. You got this. And you got this far. You're watching this video to understand how to go about doing it. So try, right? And don't hold back on whatever it is that you really want to uncover and figure out. There are some other key things to think about too whenever you're remembering a past life. If you're doing a guided meditation, then some of this stuff won't apply. But if you're not, and you are working with someone one-on-one, like a past life regression therapist or hypnotherapist, whatever the term that they use, regressionist, there's lots of terms out there. When you're working with somebody one-on-one, sometimes it actually feels like you're still having a back and forth conversation as if you were still sitting there with your eyes open, talking with that person before you start. A lot of people think that they're going to be in some crazy altered state, and that doesn't usually happen. Even when I remember my own past lives, and I've remembered a lot of them, it just feels like I'm still talking to my friends. It doesn't feel like I'm in some crazy deepened state. I remember most of everything that I've re-experienced and brought through as information. And it is a matter of like you writing that information down straight away, or having someone dictate that, or recording it so that you can save that information, because it kind of does feel like a lucid dream. So make sure someone's recording it for you, or taking notes, really good notes, if you want to save that information. I always recommend that you write everything down when you get the opportunity that same day, hopefully, to, as you're going through remembering everything that you just uncovered, you can write all that stuff down, and then you can look back at it like 2 years from now and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I can't remember all these facts straight away, but I read this and I just am amazed at everything that I remembered. It's really neat. And so those kinds of things are important, especially if you want to continue your healing on some deep level and you want to look back and maybe compare notes and that type of thing. It's really kind of interesting to do. So I recommend that to everybody. A couple things too. I mean, when you're remembering a past life, the most important thing is to trust whatever it is that you have come to you. Whatever. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe, and leave a comment if you have any questions. You can be in this relaxed, deepened state remembering a past life, but if your psychic ability, and we all have them, by the way, if your psychic ability is to empathically feel things, like you feel like that person feels like a nice person, or you feel like that person feels like a bad person, or you feel like that way to go down the street is to the right, not to the left, you're feeling into everything, then you might not see things, you might feel things. And the example I like to give is a horse and a wagon that's filled with hay. You might feel like there's a horse and wagon next to you, but you also might feel someone holding your hand or touching your shoulder. That's another kind of feeling it. You might see, a lot of people describe, what do you see? What are you looking at? That type of thing. But if you're a person that doesn't normally see things as a psychic ability, you might not see things when you're remembering a past life. You might get them other ways. But back to the seeing part, you might actually see the hay, you might see the horse, you might see it like you're looking at a panorama, especially if you're looking into the distance, like to the mountains in the distance. You might see the whole panorama of it. But if someone asks you, what are you wearing? And you're looking down at your clothes, you might only notice a little section of it, and it might be a little blurred out. Because if you notice when you're looking at your phone, or if you're on the computer and you're watching this video, you might notice that when you're looking at that one thing close up, everything around your phone, the computer, wherever you're looking at this particular video on, is kind of blurred out. Even when you're talking to somebody, start to pay attention to this. It's really kind of interesting because I don't think people notice that it's even happening. But when you're looking at a person and talking to them, you're actually looking in their eyes normally. And everything around them is not even in your awareness. You might not remember what kind of clothes they're wearing or color or whatever, unless it's especially interesting. But when you're remembering a past life, it's almost like you have binoculars on. Everything is in a small little confined space. For some reason, it's just really amplified that you're only focusing on that one thing that you're looking at in a very small kind of way. But if you're looking into the distance, it's going to show you the entire thing. So it makes a big difference what it is that you're looking at. So the horse and wagon example, you might just notice a little bit of hay. You might see the horse's head. If one of your psychic abilities is hearing things, you might hear in your mind, like telepathy, it's all telepathy by the way, you might hear in your mind that there is a horse and buggy nearby. You might hear those words. There's a horse and buggy. You might hear the horse neighing. You might hear the clop, 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 and you might hear the wheels spinning on the dirt road that it's on. If your psychic ability is knowing, like if you get premonitions or something like that, or you just kind of like know things and you don't know why, you might get a knowing that there's a horse and carriage here, a horse with wagon in the back with hay, and 14 more horse and buggies down the street all lined up. You might get that knowing. You don't see it, smell it, hear it, none of that. You just know it. And so all these things could be part of every experience. You might have some aspect of all these different abilities, whether you're seeing it, hearing it, smelling it, knowing it, actually feeling it come through during an experience. The very first thing that you get as information to remember a past life is really important. Because if you're trying to remember a past life, you start out with that little teeny little bit of information. It might just be that you're wearing a beige sweater. But if you say, man, I'm going to blow that off. I was wearing a beige sweater yesterday. Well, you just gave up an opportunity to maybe remember a past life where you were wearing a beige sweater in a past life. Because like you want to tune into whatever it is that you get. You might see an eagle fly over top. It just might be a passing thought in your mind. Trust it. Because that might turn into, well, you're someone walking in the woods and you happen to look up and see an eagle flying over top in a past life. And then you continue on in that lifetime and you find out that you worked in the woods or you had a home in the woods and there were eagles around. Maybe you lived in Alaska or wherever else they have a lot of eagles flying overhead. So it's all works out. But trusting whatever it is that you're getting is so important. Even if it feels like you're making it up, it's going to feel like imagination sometimes even too, because you haven't remembered a past life, that one that you're trying to remember before. So it's going to feel like you're making stuff up. I even have had people say to me, well, I really like Civil War stuff, so I think it makes sense that I'm remembering a lifetime in the Civil War. I said, well, why do you think you like the Civil War? Because not every person watches and learns about the Civil War. You probably had a lifetime there. It's probably why you're interested in that. And man, I cannot tell you how many times I've come across people who have said, wow, I really like this, and I'm so excited I had a lifetime that's connected to that. Makes sense, right? Because it does make sense. You have this whole soul experience, and so if you had multiple lifetimes in, let's say, for example, Spain, and you really love the Spanish way, the Spanish language, all these things that have to do with Spain, and man, you want to travel there, you learn the language, all that type of thing, you know everything about their history. Not everybody does that, So now, when you remember a lifetime where you've had a very loving lifetime in Spain, it makes all the sense, right? Same thing. So keeping that in mind, don't discount anything you get, okay? Another thing that's important too is to allow the information to come. Whether it's, I'm remembering something from Spain, or you're seeing an eagle fly in the sky overhead, or you see a horse and buggy. None of those things are in the place wherever it is that you're remembering a past life. It's going to be a memory from somewhere. So trust whatever you get, allowing that to come through. If you go into the experience expecting to specifically remember this lifetime because you feel like you might have some memory of that, that might block you from any other experience. So allowing whatever to come is key, because usually what happens, especially if someone's coming to a one-on-one, your spirit guides and angels have plans for you. They're like, oh man, this person came, let's get some healing in. And so you come for a one-on-one session with someone who can guide you through a past life. You have a memory of a lifetime that helps you heal some relationship thing. And then you have another lifetime memory come through that helps you to understand a fear of spiders. Then you have a lifetime come through that explains why you love the 1920s. See how all that works? Your spirit guides are like, let's get some healing in, and then let's have some fun, okay? With the 1920s lifetime. Be open to whatever's coming first, and then you can have that fun thing come through that you just are doing for fun. Maybe trying to find out if you had a lifetime in China or France or something like that, or even in California, let's say, for example. So being open to whatever it is that comes to you. Another important tip is to not judge, don't analyze, don't cross-check, don't try to figure out, well, how does that apply to my current lifetime? None of that. Let all that go. You can do all kind of judging, analyzing, looking up on Ancestry.com, wherever you want to go. Save all that for later. You can look it up online. You can go and research it. You can analyze it, see how it compares to your current lifetime, see where you have some healing to do. Save all that for later. But while you're in the midst of remembering a past life, just allowing that information to come through is so important. When you start to analyze, judge, dissect, whatever, you're using the wrong side of your brain. You're not allowing your intuition to guide you and for the information to come to you from these deep, long ago forgotten places. So really just allowing whatever to come, save all that analyzing for later. If you start to judge and analyze and do all those types of things, it'll bring you out of it. And then you're having a hard time getting there. If you're worrying about what you're saying, or if you're don't know how to express it, or even if you start to remember something that it's kind of hard to explain or you feel embarrassed about, ask for them to, can we just move on to a next important event, or something along those lines. It's really helpful. Another tip is to know that if you happen to start remembering a past life and you are not seeing anything, maybe you're in darkness, you feel like you're in the dark still, because your eyes are closed, you see a lot of dark. That's still something, usually. In my first book, I wrote 16 past lives in there, and 4 of them I was in the dark. So sometimes you're actually in the dark outside. Sometimes you're in a room in the dark. Sometimes it's just dark because of wherever you're at in that past life. It's wherever you entered into that lifetime. I mean, I regressed somebody one time and they couldn't even speak because in the lifetime that they remembered, they were gagged and they couldn't speak. So they weren't able to speak out loud to me whenever they were remembering a past life. It's no different if you're in the dark. I've had people remember lifetimes where they were surrounded by gray smoke, and so all they saw was gray. And so I had them move that gray aside, and they realized that it was smoke and they were in a war situation. So there's that. Also, keep in mind, your spirit guides are not going to let you go to a lifetime where you're not ready, or to remember a part of it where you're not ready to remember it. Especially the death scene for you. Some people skip over that. You might not go to that space, or to something that is a little scary for you to remember at this time. You can always set the intent. You just want to do this just to give it a try, something happy, something fun, maybe healing on some level, but maybe just to prove to you that you're a spiritual being and you've had multiple lifetimes. That can be your intent. So keeping that in mind. And don't be afraid of hypnosis. It's the same thing as meditation. You're putting your brainwave into a particular theta state to help you go deep and remember a focused concentration remembrance. You go in and out of that theta state and your brain waves go through all kind of stages all day long. But most commonly people notice that when they're in the middle of reading a book, watching a movie, whatever, and they're so engrossed in reading that or watching the movie that they totally don't even realize that someone's walked in the room, they touch them on the shoulder and they're like, "Wah!" They scream because they're so in that moment. It's focused concentration. It's the same thing that you're going to when you're in hypnosis, when you're in a meditation. You're really focusing on relaxing and just allowing whatever it is to come to you. It's the best place to go if you want to receive a message from spirit guides and angels and all that type of thing too. Dress comfortably, eat something. That's just basics. And anything that comes up for you, if it's a trauma thing, you feel like you need to forgive it. Forgive everything associated with it. And ask the angels for help. Ask them to pour healing unconditional love energy in through your physical body, in through your energetic body part of you, and to release anything that no longer serves you. Any pent-up trauma, any pent-up emotion, anger, sadness, grief, whatever comes up for you. Release it out of your energy and allow the angels to help you heal. I have met so many people, and every one of them have angels with them. You just have to ask for their help and assistance so they can help you heal. And stay to the end. I have a guided meditation to help you remember a past life. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you enjoy what I'm talking about right here, I have lots of other videos that you can watch and learn about how to do a past life regression, tips and tricks, and some guided meditations to heal with the angels, see your future in this lifetime, lots of other stuff. And leave a comment if you have a question that I haven't answered on my channel. Lots of love and light to you.